want to just very briefly get your understanding of the brainwave patterns, what they represent, but specifically focus on gamma. And so I'm not just meandering all over the place. Where I'm basically going with this is the Schumann resonance is 7.8, and there's octaves or there's different frequencies above that, but the base one is 7.8, and there's something about 8 hertz, which is a slight up-tuning of that frequency from there, that Ananda Bozeman believes has a real healing power of it. He's big into binaural beats. He's big into psytrance. He's big into technology that can produce precision 8 hertz. But he says that dark room therapy, not only does it produce DMT-like experiences, but also penoline. And so he focuses on this MAOI at 8 hertz. He doesn't get into what effects that might have on the brainwave signature. But I'm really curious about gamma and potentially going into gamma. And I want you to explain like how often do we, as just, regular blokes, go into gamma? Where do we normally see gamma? And could this potentially have some kind of correlation with things like hands-on healing, or maybe even telekinesis, telepathy, or just the altered state, the psychedelic breakout of the default mode network state? Where does gamma fall in with all of that?
It's interesting because from what I've seen, there's a lot of coupling going on. So in the brainwaves, it's not like they're all kind of taking. We have different brainwaves taking place all at the same time. You have delta, theta, alpha, beta, gamma. They're all kind of oscillating at different strengths, different powers. So we have to realize that we're producing these waves all the time at different strengths. But it seems as though there's a coupling that takes place between theta and gamma. So I would say probably that around that 8 hertz range and 40 hertz. So it's interesting because I've read that there's a lot of correlations with like memory formation and memory retrieval with that theta gamma coupling. And gamma is associated with initial neuronal binding for the first time. So 2 neurons talking to each other. So basically the whole concept of, I think, neuroplasticity and changing the connections in the brain seems to go hand in hand with gamma. And when you have conversations about ayahuasca, DMT, psilocybin, LSD, and their effects on changing the brain structure, which changes our perception, we see gamma upregulation in all those studies on a very consistent basis. One thing I wanted to mention regarding the EEG that was developed by Hans Berger in the 1920s is that it was an analog signal, meaning that it was limited to frequencies, I believe, about 25 hertz and lower. So he was looking for telepathy. He never had success in finding the correlates of the EEG with telepathy. But what's interesting is that in the 90s, the EEG became digital. And that's when they developed the ability to measure above 25 hertz. So basically, you're talking about gamma, high gamma, ultra gamma. And I speculate that that's one of the main reasons why Berger was not successful in finding the physiological, neurological correlates with telepathy. I think that there might be something at that 40 hertz range, or maybe at the 40 hertz coupling range that coincides with things like telepathy. Maybe we'll see that signature if we really kind of dive into the nitty gritty of the EEG and distant sort of communication. And by the way, Ananda Bosman for president.
Dude, I'm all in. I say as soon as he gets into office, we all go into dark room as an entire species. If we
tell Bill Gates can block the sun fully, man, and we'll be all good.
Right on. Yeah, well, I know he's already hip to that. And I just find it interesting because if we can globally quarantine everybody, but make them do it in a dark room, I wonder what we would start noticing. Dean Radin had this thing called the EGG, which is the electrogaiagram. So it's like an electroencephalogram, for the brainwave patterns, but for the Earth. And I'm super curious about that. I haven't gone too deeply into it, but he said like right before the first plane hit the building on 9/11, there was a spike in these EGGs. So it was almost like something collective something planetary. I'm not sure, but something seemed to spike right before that event happened.
Make sure y'all head over to benjosephstewart.com, become a member. You'll have access to the growing library of deeper dives where I talk about all the stuff that I really can't talk about on YouTube. Make sure you get involved in the Discord chat. That's where a lot of the conversation is happening, talking about new theories, being able to interweave into the greater conversation that is how we awaken infinity. That's our highest potential. And I just want to remind you, you are the most powerful technology ever known to creation. Wield it like an artist with a conscience.